My mom announced at Thanksgiving, if I could do it over, I'd stop at one kid. So I left that night with $37 and now I'm the entrepreneur she sees on billboards every day. Just a quick favor before I continue. Subscribe if you haven't yet and let me know in the comments where you're tuning in from. I might give you a shout out next time. The mashed potatoes were still steaming when Mama said it. Just dropped it right there between the cranberry sauce and green bean casserole like it was nothing. If I could do it all over again, I'd have stopped at one kid. My fork froze halfway to my mouth. Across the table, my older sister Kennedy smirked into her wine glass. She was the golden child, the lawyer, the one with the pristine townhouse in Buckhead. The one kid Mama apparently wished she'd stopped at. Excuse me. The words barely made it past my throat. Mama didn't even look at me. Just kept passing dishes to Kennedy's husband Marcus like I hadn't spoken. I'm just being honest. Some women are meant to have multiple children. I wasn't one of them. Kennedy needed all my attention to become who she is today. My younger brother Darius shifted uncomfortably beside me, suddenly very interested in his phone. He was 19, still living at home, still trying to figure himself out. Apparently we were both mistakes. Mama, that's messed up, I managed, my hands shaking. Kennedy finally spoke, her voice dripping with false sympathy. Come on, Sasha. He's just saying what we all know. You've always been different. Difficult. Different. That's what they called it when I wanted to study business instead of law. Difficult was what they said when I started my first side hustle at 16, selling custom jewelry online. Unrealistic when I talked about building something bigger than myself. I looked around the table at my family's faces. Mama's indifferent expression. Kennedy's satisfied smile. Daddy's cowardly silence as he carved the turkey, pretending not to hear. That's when something inside me broke. Or maybe it finally fixed itself. I shouldn't have been surprised. Kennedy had been Mama's obsession since the day she graduated top of her class from Spelman. I remembered being 12, watching Mama beam as Kennedy walked across that stage. That's my daughter, she'd said to everyone within earshot. She's going places. When I graduated high school 6 years later with a 3.8 GPA and a scholarship to Georgia State, Mama had stayed seated. It's not the same, she'd whispered to Aunt Claudette, who'd come to watch me. State isn't Spelman. Now at 24, I'd been working 3 jobs while building my business. Custom handbags and accessories that were starting to gain traction on Instagram. I had 8,000 followers and had just landed my first wholesale order with a boutique in Little 5 Points. I was proud of every sleepless night, every sacrifice. But to Mama, I was just the daughter who wasted her potential on pipe dreams. You know what your problem is, Sasha? Kennedy leaned forward, her diamond earrings catching the candlelight. You've never understood that success requires conformity. You can't just do whatever you want and expect respect. I don't want respect from people who don't respect themselves, I shot back. The table went silent. Daddy's knife stopped mid-slice. Mama's eyes finally met mine, and what I saw there wasn't anger. It was dismissal. Like I was already gone from her mind. See? Kennedy gestured at me like I was evidence in court. This is exactly what Mama means. You're combative. Ungrateful. Do you know how many people would kill for the opportunities you've had? What opportunities? My voice rose despite my efforts to stay calm. The opportunity to be compared to you every single day? The opportunity to hear how I'll never measure up. Lower your voice, Mama said, but there was no warmth in it. Just the cold instruction she'd give a stranger causing a scene. Something in my chest tightened. I thought about the past year. The loan Mama had given Kennedy to help with her down payment. $50,000 she'd never mentioned to me. The birthday party she'd thrown Kennedy at the Sundial, inviting half of Atlanta's black elite. My own birthday 3 months later had been a text message. Happy birthday, baby. Hope you have a good one. I thought about last Christmas when I'd shown her my business plan, my projections, my dreams laid out in a leather portfolio I'd saved for 2 months to buy. She'd glanced at the first page and handed it back. That's nice, Sasha. Kennedy, tell everyone about the Thompson case. Now Darius spoke up, his voice quiet. That was harsh, Ma. Even for you. Stay out of grown folks' business. Mama snapped at him, and I watched my little brother shrink back into himself. The same little brother who'd called me crying last week because Mama had called him worthless for dropping out of his first semester at Morehouse. Grown folks' business? I stood up, my chair scraping against the hardwood. You literally just told your children you regret having 2 of them and were supposed to what? Smile and pass the rolls? Kennedy laughed. Actually laughed. God, you're so dramatic. She's just being honest. Not everyone is cut out for motherhood the way she thought. It's not personal. Not personal? The words came out like broken glass. How is telling your daughter you wish she'd never been born not personal? I didn't say that, Mama said, but her voice lacked conviction. She was already bored with this conversation, ready to move on to dessert and her perfect daughter's perfect life. That's when I knew. She really meant it. My phone buzzed. A notification from Instagram. My 1000th order. A customer in California wanted 3 custom bags for her boutique. It should have been a moment of celebration. Instead, I was standing in my mother's dining room, being told I was a mistake. You know what kills me? I grabbed my purse from the back of my chair. I've spent my whole life trying to make you proud. Every award, every achievement, every small victory, I wanted to bring it to you. And you couldn't be bothered to notice. Here we go, Kennedy muttered. The victim's speech. No. I turned to her. Not a victim. Just done. I'm done begging for crumbs from a table I helped set. I'm done making myself smaller so you can feel bigger. I'm done. Daddy finally spoke. Sasha, sit down. Let's talk about this like adults. Adults. I felt the tears coming but refused to let them fall. Not here. Not in front of them. Adults don't let their wives tear down their children. Adults don't sit silent while their daughter gets emotionally eviscerated over turkey and dressing. Don't you dare speak to your father that way. Mama stood, her voice sharp. Or what? You'll disown me? Mama, you've already done that. You did it every time you forgot my recitals but never missed Kennedy's mock trials. You did it every time you bragged about her to your church friends and introduced me as the other one. You've been disowning me my whole life. Tonight you just finally said it out loud. Darius stood up too. I'm coming with you. Sit down, Darius, Mama commanded. But my little brother grabbed his coat. No, I'm good. Y'all can have your perfect family dinner with your perfect daughter. The November air hit my face like a slap, but it felt cleaner than the air inside that house. Darius followed me to my beat-up Honda Civic, the one Mama always complained about when I parked it in her driveway. When are you going to get a decent car? She'd say. Kennedy drives a Mercedes. I checked my bank account on my phone. $37 until my next paycheck from the boutique where I worked part-time. I'd just paid my rent, my business inventory, and the hosting fees for my website. Where are we going? Darius asked, sliding into the passenger seat. I don't know. Away. My phone exploded with texts. Kennedy, you're so immature. This is why nobody takes you seriously. Mama, you will apologize for embarrassing me in front of Marcus. More from Kennedy, don't come crawling back when your little business fails. I blocked them both. That was brave, Darius said quietly. What you did in there. It was overdue. I started the car and it sputtered before catching. We can't go back to your place? He shook his head. I moved out last month. Been crashing with my friend Terrell. Mama doesn't know yet. I couldn't take it anymore. The constant criticism, the comparisons to Kennedy, being called lazy for not wanting to be a lawyer. We were two broken pieces from the same shattered family, sitting in a car that might not make it through winter with nowhere to go. I got an air mattress in my studio, I offered. It's not much, but it's better than there. I drove away from Mama's house in Cascade Heights, past the perfect lawns and perfect lives, and something unexpected happened. I started laughing. Not the fun kind. The kind that comes when you realize you've been holding your breath for 24 years and finally let go. My studio was 380 square feet of possibility in East Atlanta. To Mama it was proof of my failure. To me it was freedom. The walls were covered with sketches of bag designs, fabric swatches, and photos of my finished products. My sewing machine sat on a table by the window, surrounded by spools of thread in every color. Darius looked around and I waited for judgment. Dad, he smiled. This is dope. You made all these. Every single one. I showed him my latest design. A crossbody bag with hand-painted African patterns and brass hardware. This one's going to a customer in Seattle. She's paying $200 for it. $200. His eyes widened. Sasha, that's not sustainable as my only income. Yet. I pulled out the air mattress. But it's growing. Last month I made $1,500 from sales. This month I'm on track for $3,000. Next month, who knows? We set up his bed and he told me everything. How Mama had been on him since he'd dropped out, calling him worthless. How Kennedy had offered to help by getting him a job as a paralegal at her firm, under her supervision. How Daddy had pulled him aside and told him to, just do what your mother wants so she'll get off your back. I want to be a photographer, Darius admitted. Not corporate law or whatever Kennedy thinks is respectable. I want to shoot fashion, maybe music. But every time I mention it, Mama acts like I said I want to be a drug dealer. I understood. We were the children who dared to dream different dreams. That night, lying in my bed while Darius slept on the air mattress, I made a decision. I was done playing small. Done apologizing for wanting more than the life Mama had approved. I didn't sleep. Instead I worked. By morning I designed 3 new bag styles, updated my website and drafted emails to 15 boutiques across the Southeast. If Mama thought I'd come crawling back, she was wrong. I'd burn before I bent. Darius woke up to find me surrounded by leather scraps and sketches. Did you sleep at all? Sleep is for people who aren't proving a point. He laughed, but I was serious. The fire that had been smoldering in me for years had finally caught, and I was ready to let it burn everything down and build something new from the ashes. My phone rang. Daddy. I ignored it. He called 3 more times before leaving a voicemail. Baby girl, please come home. Your mama's upset, but she didn't mean it like that. You know how she gets. Just apologize and we can move past this. Apologize. For what? For existing? For being the wrong daughter? I deleted the message. That afternoon my wholesale contact from Little 5 Points called. Sasha girl, we need to talk. Those bags you sent? They're flying off the shelves. I got customers asking about custom orders. How fast can you produce? My heart stopped. How many are we talking? 50 units. Different styles. Can you do it in 6 weeks? 50 bags at wholesale would net me about $4,000. More importantly, it would prove I could scale. I can do it. I hung up and immediately panicked. 50 bags meant materials, time, maybe help. It meant investing everything I had and then some. It meant risking the little security I'd built. Darius watched me pace. What's wrong? Nothing. Everything. I just got my first real break and I'm terrified I'll screw it up. Then let's make sure you don't. We became a two-person factory. Darius learned to cut leather while I sewed. He had a good eye for detail, better than I expected. While he worked, he'd tell me about the photos he wanted to take, the vision he had. I listened and remembered what it felt like to have someone believe in your dreams. 2 weeks in, I got a DM on Instagram. A woman named Vanessa Rodriguez, a marketing consultant who'd seen my work. Your designs are incredible. Have you thought about pitching to major retailers? Major retailers. The words felt impossible and inevitable at the same time. We set up a video call. Vanessa was sharp, direct, and saw something in my work I'd been too close to see myself. You're not just selling bags, Sasha. You're selling a narrative. Black woman entrepreneur, handcrafted quality, unique designs. That's a story department stores want to tell. Let me help you tell it. She wanted 10% of whatever deals she brought in. It seemed like a lot until she explained what she could do. I've got connections at Macy's, Nordstrom, and 3 boutique chains that are actively looking for Black-owned brands to feature. Give me a month. I gave her 3 days to prove herself. She came back with a meeting at a boutique chain called Luxe and Thread, 4 stores across Georgia with plans to expand. Daddy called again. I answered this time. Sasha, baby, please. Your mama's sorry. She wants you home for Sunday dinner. Did she say she was sorry? Did those words come out of her mouth? Silence. That's what I thought. Tell mama I'm busy building the life she didn't think I deserved. I hung up before he could guilt me further. The Luxe and Thread headquarters in Midtown was all glass and modern furniture. I wore my best dress, the one I'd sewn myself with African print accents, and carried my 3 best bags as samples. The buyer, a Black woman named Simone Carter who looked about 40, greeted me with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. She'd seen 1,000 hopeful designers. I was determined to be the one she remembered. Show me what you've got. I laid out my bags, explaining each design choice, each cultural reference, each quality detail. Simone picked up the crossbody with hand-painted patterns, examining the stitching with a critical eye. Who's your manufacturer? I am. Every bag is handmade by me in my studio. Her eyebrow raised. Can you scale? This was the moment. The lie that could get me in the door or the truth that might close it. Yes. I have a production plan for up to 200 units monthly with quality control measures in place. I didn't mention that my studio was a 380 square foot apartment and my production plan was me, Darius, and prayer. Simone set down the bag and looked at me directly. I'm going to be straight with you. I like your work. I like your story. But I've seen talented designers crash and burn because they couldn't deliver. I need reliability more than I need artistry. Can you guarantee that? I can guarantee that I will die before I let you down. The words came out raw, honest. This isn't a hobby for me. This is everything. Something shifted in her expression. You remind me of myself 20 years ago. Tell you what, I'll give you a trial run. 25 bags, 5 different styles, delivered in 4 weeks. If they sell, we talk expansion. I left that office with a contract and a deadline that terrified me. I worked until my fingers bled. Literally. The leather was tough, my hands weren't used to the volume, and I couldn't afford to slow down. Darius took over all the cutting and prep work while handling his own photography gigs on the side. We operated on 4 hours of sleep and cold pizza. My phone buzzed constantly. Mama's church friends reaching out, trying to mediate. Your mother loves you, baby. You know how she is. Just call her. I didn't know that version of love. The kind that came with conditions and comparisons. Kennedy sent one text. Heard about your little boutique deal. Don't get too excited. Small fish, small pond. I used her words as fuel. 3 weeks in, my sewing machine broke. just stopped mid-stitch, smoke rising from the motor. I sat on the floor and cried for the first time since Thanksgiving. Not delicate tears, ugly, gasping sobs that came from somewhere deep. Darius found me there. How much to fix it? $300 to repair. $800 for a new one. We had $600 in our combined accounts. The math didn't work. He left without a word. I assumed he was done, couldn't take the pressure anymore. 2 hours later he came back with $900 cash. Where did you get? I sold my camera. My good one. It's fine. We'll get another one later. I looked at my little brother who'd sacrificed his own dream to save mine, and something hardened in me. We weren't going to fail. Failure wasn't an option when someone believed in you this much. We bought a new machine. Industrial grade, used but reliable. Then we got back to work. 24 bags were perfect. The 25th wouldn't close properly. The zipper kept catching. It was delivery day and I had 4 hours to fix it or show up incomplete. My hands shook as I seam ripped the zipper out. Darius held the fabric taut while I sewed in a replacement, each stitch a prayer. With an hour to spare, we loaded everything into my car and drove to Lux and Thread. Simone inspected each bag with the intensity of a surgeon. I held my breath, watching her face for any sign of disappointment. After what felt like an hour but was probably 10 minutes, she looked up. These are exceptional. Better than I expected. The relief nearly knocked me over. I'm placing an order for 50 more. Different color combinations, same quality. Can you handle it? Yes. No hesitation this time. She smiled and this time it reached her eyes. Good. Because I'm also connecting you with a writer from Atlanta magazine. They're doing a piece on emerging Black entrepreneurs. Interested? I thought about Mama who'd never believed I could do this. About Kennedy who'd called me a small fish. About every person who'd dismissed my dreams as cute hobbies. Very interested. 2 days later, a photographer came to my studio. Not just any photographer. Someone Darius knew from his previous work. They shot me at my sewing machine surrounded by my designs, looking exactly like what I was. A woman building an empire from scratch. The article came out 3 weeks later. Full-page spread. Sasha Mitchell, the designer turning heads and building legacy. My Instagram exploded. From 8,000 followers to 25,000 overnight. Orders flooded in. Boutiques called. A department store buyer reached out. And then Mama saw it. The article made its way through Black Atlanta like wildfire. Suddenly, Mama's church friends were calling her, congratulating her on her daughter's success. The same daughter she'd dismissed 4 months ago was now being celebrated in print. Mama called. I let it go to voicemail. She called again. And again. Finally I answered. Sasha, baby, I saw the article. I'm so proud of you. The words I'd wanted my entire life and they felt hollow. You're proud now. Where was that pride when I was working 3 jobs and building this in a studio apartment? Where was it when I showed you my business plan? Where was it at Thanksgiving when you told me you wished you'd stopped at 1 kid? I didn't mean it like that. You're so sensitive. No. Don't do that. Don't gaslight me into believing I misunderstood. You meant every word and we both know it. Silence on the other end. Then, fine. Maybe I did. You were always difficult, Sasha. Not like Kennedy. She was easy to love. There was the truth she'd been dancing around my entire life. And now? I asked. Now that I'm successful, am I easier to love? Or do you just want to be associated with something you didn't help build? That's not fair. Life isn't fair, Mama. I learned that from you. I hung up and blocked her number. Daddy called from his cell. I blocked that too. Kennedy sent a long text about family and forgiveness. I didn't read past the first line. The next morning I signed a lease on a real studio space, 2,000 square feet in Inman Park. The next week I hired 2 seamstresses. The week after that, Darius became my official creative director, handling all photography and visual branding. We were building something real and we were doing it without them. 6 months after that Thanksgiving dinner, I drove past the billboard on I-85. It was part of a campaign Atlanta magazine was running, featuring local entrepreneurs. My face 20 feet high with the words, "Building legacy one stitch at a time." My phone rang. Unknown number. I answered. "I saw your billboard." Mama's voice was small. "Everyone I know has seen it. They keep asking why I never mentioned your business." "What do you tell them?" "That I'm proud of you." "Are you?" I pulled over because this conversation needed my full attention. "Or are you just embarrassed that you were wrong?" "Both." At least she was honest. "Sasha, I made mistakes. I favored Kennedy because she was everything I understood. You were always reaching for something I couldn't see. It scared me. So you crushed it. I tried to protect you from disappointment. You became the disappointment." I could hear her crying now. For the first time in my life, my mother was crying because of something I'd said. It didn't feel as good as I thought it would. "Can we have dinner? Just us?" "No." The word was firm but not cruel. "Maybe someday. But right now I'm building something and I can't afford to let people in who don't believe in me. Even if one of them is my mother." "Kennedy misses you." I laughed. "Kennedy misses having someone to feel superior to. Tell her I'm too busy for that role now." I hung up and sat there on the shoulder of the highway looking at my billboard. The girl in that photo wasn't the same one who'd left Thanksgiving dinner with $37 and a broken heart. She was stronger, harder, but also freer. Darius called. "You see it yet?" "I'm looking at it right now." "We did it, sis. We really did it." "Yeah," I said, watching cars pass beneath my face on that billboard. "We really did." I pulled back onto the highway, driving past my success toward whatever came next. Mama was still calling. I didn't answer. Maybe I would someday. Maybe I wouldn't. But either way, I was done making myself small to fit into someone else's version of who I should be. I was Sasha Mitchell, entrepreneur, designer, and the daughter who proved that being the unwanted one sometimes means you're just too big for the space they tried to keep you in. My empire was just beginning, and they were all invited to watch from the outside.